For centuries, the Galactic Empire expanded its reach across the cosmos. They had conquered countless worlds, each more diverse and complex than the last. Their technology was unrivaled, and their military prowess left a trail of decimated civilizations. Their reputation alone brought most species to their knees, often before a single shot was fired. Entire fleets would vanish from space in mere moments, and with them, any resistance. The Galactic Empire was an unstoppable force, and its leaders knew it. To them, Earth was nothing more than a primitive planet orbiting a mediocre star on the edge of the galaxy. The humans, with their insignificant technology and internal conflicts, posed no real threat. Yet, as Earth's technological advancements accelerated, some factions within the Empire began to take note. A small but growing number of voices warned that humanity might evolve into something more dangerous over time. The sheer rapidity with which Earth's population expanded and its innovation flourished triggered a strategic calculation. If left unchecked, Earth could potentially challenge the Empire's dominance in the distant future. The decision to invade was made swiftly. The Empire would crush humanity before it could become a problem. But they didn't anticipate a drawn-out battle. The plan was simple: deploy the fleet, overwhelm Earth's meager defenses, and claim the planet as another jewel in their galactic crown. For the Galactic Empire, it was just another routine operation. The invasion fleet assembled in orbit, its massive ships blotting out the stars. Colossal warships, the size of entire cities, hung ominously in the skies above Earth. Each vessel was equipped with weapons capable of reducing cities to rubble in a single shot. Plasma cannons, hyperbeams, and gravitational disruptors, tools of conquest designed to annihilate any opposition. The fleet was a testament to the Empire's arrogance and power. They had not lost a battle in eons, and they didn't expect this to be any different. Earth's governments were woefully unprepared. Panic erupted across the globe as reports flooded in of the massive alien fleet. Leaders scrambled to understand the situation, but nothing could have prepared them for the sheer scale of the invasion. Satellites captured images of the vast ships hovering above major cities. Initial attempts at communication with the aliens were met with silence. Then, the first attack came. Without warning, the Empire unleashed a series of devastating strikes. Entire sections of Earth's atmosphere lit up as alien projectiles rained down. Cities crumbled under the force of the bombardment. Military bases were obliterated in moments, and key infrastructure was reduced to ash. The invasion had begun, and Earth's defenses crumbled under the sheer might of the Galactic Empire's assault. Despite their technological limitations, Earth's military forces fought back. Jets, tanks, and soldiers mobilized in a desperate attempt to defend their homeland. But the alien ships swatted them away like insects. Their plasma shields deflected every missile, every bullet. For every human strike, the Empire responded with overwhelming firepower. Earth's strongest forces were decimated in minutes. The aliens watched with amusement as their superior technology obliterated Earth's feeble attempts at resistance. From the Empire's perspective, this was nothing more than a formality. They had won before the battle had even begun. The alien commanders, seated in their high-tech control rooms, laughed at the futile efforts of humanity. They mocked the primitive nature of human technology, marveling at how these creatures had managed to survive as long as they had. To them, Earth was already a conquered planet, and it was only a matter of time before the humans realized it too. But amidst the chaos, something unexpected began to stir. Humanity, though uncoordinated and outmatched, didn't surrender. In the midst of despair, a resistance was forming. Small groups of soldiers, civilians, and even scientists began organizing guerrilla tactics. Their strikes were small and often ineffective, but they were relentless. They took advantage of every weakness they could find, no matter how minor. Where alien technology was flawless, human ingenuity found cracks. The Empire's overconfidence blinded them to these small victories. They dismissed the human resistance as a minor annoyance, not worth their full attention. Then came the first significant blow. Deep within a shattered city, a lone resistance fighter stumbled upon a piece of alien technology, an energy disruptor that powered one of the smaller alien drones. Without fully understanding it, the fighter managed to sabotage the device, causing a chain reaction. The explosion it triggered was small, but it was enough to take down one of the alien scout ships patrolling the city. The ship crashed, and for the first time since the invasion began, the Empire lost a piece of its fleet. The destruction of the scout ship went largely unnoticed by the alien commanders. In their minds, a single lost ship was irrelevant in the grand scheme of the invasion. But for humanity, it was a spark of hope. Word spread quickly among the resistance forces, and soon, more individuals were attempting similar acts of sabotage. They began to study the alien technology, trying to reverse engineer whatever they could. As the resistance grew, so did the Empire's frustration. Despite their overwhelming superiority, they found themselves expending more resources than anticipated to deal with these scattered uprisings. Small skirmishes were breaking out in cities across the globe, and the Empire's forces were forced to spread thinner to maintain control. The aliens still believed they were on the verge of total victory, but cracks were beginning to show in their seemingly impenetrable armor. Just as the Empire prepared for its final assault, a coordinated strike meant to crush the last remnants of human resistance, the unthinkable happened. One of their larger warships, a vessel that had led the initial attack on Earth, was brought down by a coordinated human effort. It wasn't a traditional military strike. Instead, it was a combination of guerrilla tactics, sabotage, and sheer determination. The Empire, for the first time, was forced to acknowledge that humanity wasn't going to fall as easily as they had expected. The battle was far from over, but the seeds of the Empire's downfall had been planted. Despite the initial devastation and overwhelming firepower, the human spirit refused to be extinguished. In the chaos, military leaders, tacticians, and civilians began to see that traditional warfare was not an option. They couldn't meet the Galactic Empire head-on. Their technology simply couldn't match the alien fleet's firepower. But humans had always thrived when backed into a corner, forced to innovate or perish. In cities still smoldering from alien bombardments, small pockets of resistance formed. These weren't vast armies, but small, guerrilla units, bands of fighters operating out of wrecked neighborhoods, forested areas, and mountainous regions that the aliens hadn't anticipated being battlegrounds. They used whatever they had at their disposal, improvised weapons, knowledge of local terrain, and even weather patterns to wage a war of attrition. Where alien foot soldiers struggled in dense forests or rugged terrain, humans set traps, ambushed patrols, and retreated back into the wilderness. The aliens, accustomed to sweeping victories in open battles, were frustrated. Their high-tech weaponry, which could level cities, was far less effective in close-quarter skirmishes or narrow environments where precision was critical. And while humanity lacked the cutting-edge technology of the Empire, they had something else: imagination. Special forces, highly trained and operating under the cover of the ruined landscape, became instrumental in the fight. Navy SEALs, survival experts, and cyber warfare units worked in sync, using the Empire's overconfidence against them. Small, highly mobile units took down much larger alien forces by exploiting their weaknesses. For example, an elite human team might allow an alien patrol to chase them into dense fog or a rocky ravine, where their advanced targeting systems couldn't function properly. In those moments of vulnerability, the humans struck with deadly efficiency, showing the Empire that sheer technological superiority was not enough to win the war. As these guerrilla tactics spread, the resistance began to accumulate victories. They weren't grand victories that could turn the tide of war in a single stroke, but they were enough to slow the Empire's advance. Alien forces found themselves trapped in a conflict they hadn't anticipated, a slow, grinding war where every step forward cost them more than they were willing to lose. Alien commanders grew impatient and made rash decisions, underestimating the human capacity for adaptation. Behind the scenes, human engineers and scientists were hard at work. A breakthrough came when a team managed to capture an alien scout ship largely intact. Over the course of a few weeks, they worked tirelessly to understand the alien tech. Slowly but surely, they began to reverse engineer the weapons and propulsion systems. What had seemed like impenetrable technology was now in human hands, and soon, humans were using the Empire's tools against them. Even more critical, The discovery of weaknesses in the alien shields allowed humans to bypass the energy barriers protecting the invaders' ships. The very weapons designed to keep humans at bay were now being repurposed. By rigging alien weapons into crude but functional artillery, the Resistance began to mount counterattacks that not only stalled the alien advance but also pushed them back in several key regions. Suddenly, human ingenuity became the equalizer in what had once been a one-sided war. But it wasn't just technology or terrain that humanity used to its advantage. Psychological warfare became another critical tool. Human forces began to study the patterns and behaviors of their alien invaders. They learned that while the Empire was highly disciplined, it was also rigid in its thinking. The aliens had never encountered an enemy that refused to back down, even in the face of near certain defeat. Humans began to exploit this, deliberately creating situations designed to instill fear and uncertainty in the alien ranks. Stories of human fighters seemingly appearing out of nowhere, taking down entire alien squads, and vanishing into the night began to spread among the Empire's troops. The aliens, who had grown complacent after centuries of effortless victories, started to fear the humans. Unlike any enemy they had ever faced, humanity's unpredictability and willingness to die for their cause unnerved them. Alien soldiers, trained to follow orders without question, began hesitating in battle. Reports came in of alien units retreating from what should have been easy victories, haunted by the relentless human counterattacks. The once unstoppable Galactic Empire was beginning to experience fear, something that had never been part of their equation. The combination of tactical brilliance, technological adaptation, and psychological warfare culminated in several key victories. Alien patrols were wiped out in ambushes, supply lines were disrupted, and entire regions were reclaimed by human forces. The tide of the war had shifted, but few could have predicted what came next. In a bold move, human leaders, now united under a global resistance, decided to launch an all-out strike at the heart of the alien fleet. It was a plan that no one thought possible. The Empire, though battered and bruised, still controlled space with its massive fleet. Yet the human resistance had learned to be audacious. Using repurposed alien ships and technology, they coordinated a strike that would target the Empire's command ships in orbit. It was a suicide mission for many, but humans were no strangers to sacrifice. Pilots flew straight into the teeth of the alien defenses, taking out critical systems and causing chaos within the fleet. The aliens, still reeling from the constant resistance on the ground, were caught off guard. Their defenses, designed to withstand full-scale space battles, weren't prepared for the kind of sabotage and guerrilla tactics that humans had perfected on Earth. The human strike force crippled several key ships, and for the first time since the invasion began, the Galactic Empire found itself on the defensive. The stage was set for a final, decisive confrontation. With their fleet in disarray and their ground forces struggling to maintain control, the Empire began to realize that this was no longer a simple conquest. Humanity had become more than just a nuisance, they were a threat, and one that couldn't be easily wiped out. The momentum had shifted. What had once seemed like an inevitable defeat for Earth had turned into a prolonged war, with the Galactic Empire slowly losing its grip. Earth's defenders, no longer simply fighting to survive, were preparing to take the fight directly to their enemies. The Empire, for the first time in its long history of dominance, faced the prospect of defeat. The tide had shifted, and humanity was no longer merely surviving. They had turned their backs to the wall, and now they were pushing forward, united in a way that hadn't been seen before. The decision to launch a global counteroffensive wasn't born out of desperation but from calculated strategy. Humanity had learned from the enemy, adapted to their weapons, and now had the means to strike back. Across the globe, military leaders, engineers, and tacticians had spent months reverse engineering captured alien technology. The tools that had once been used to destroy cities were now being turned into weapons of liberation. Earth's remaining forces, a combination of traditional military units and underground resistance fighters, were equipped with this hybrid technology. They were no longer relying solely on outdated human weapons. Instead, they wielded energy rifles, shields, and gravity disruptors repurposed from alien tech. The Empire had unknowingly armed their enemy. The counteroffensive was swift and precise. Coordinated strikes targeted the alien motherships, which hovered ominously over Earth's major cities. These colossal ships, once seen as symbols of the Empire's dominance, were now vulnerable. Human forces had cracked their shielding systems, and each strike was aimed at critical weak points. Plasma cannons, scavenged from downed alien drones, fired upon the motherships with pinpoint accuracy. For the first time, the invaders were truly on the defensive. As the counteroffensive unfolded, a strange phenomenon began to occur. Within the alien ranks, whispers of discontent spread. Some factions within the Galactic Empire, having witnessed the unexpected resistance, began to question the wisdom of the invasion. Earth, which had seemed like an easy target, was proving to be a nightmare. Defections started. Entire battalions of alien soldiers, tired of fighting an enemy that refused to break, turned their backs on the Empire. Some sabotaged their own equipment, while others outright abandoned their posts. The once unified alien fleet was beginning to fracture. Human intelligence quickly picked up on this internal division, and they exploited it mercilessly. As alien soldiers fled or sabotaged their own ships, human forces moved in with surgical precision. Command centers, which once directed the invasion with absolute authority, were now in chaos. Communication lines between alien ships were cut, leaving individual commanders isolated and vulnerable. Human cyber warfare units, using a combination of Earth and alien tech, hacked into the alien systems, turning their own defenses against them. The Empire's once mighty fleet was collapsing from within. The final battle was inevitable. Earth's forces, emboldened by their success, launched an all-out assault on the remaining alien fleet. The skies above Earth became a battleground as human and alien ships clashed in a series of violent skirmishes. The humans, with their newfound understanding of alien technology, used their ships to maximum advantage. Alien ships, crippled by the defection of key engineers and pilots, couldn't hold the line. Human pilots, now flying hybrid crafts outfitted with both human and alien tech, tore through the alien formations. What had once seemed like an unbeatable armada was being systematically dismantled. On the ground, the war raged just as fiercely. Alien ground forces, once confident in their superiority, found themselves outmatched by human guerrilla fighters. Human forces, hardened by months of desperate battle, were relentless. They pushed the aliens back, reclaiming city after city. The Empire, which had once sought to crush humanity in one swift strike, was now crumbling under the weight of its own arrogance and the tenacity of its foe. In the midst of this chaos, the leadership of the Galactic Empire descended into panic. Alien commanders, once supremely confident in their victory, could not fathom how their invasion had gone so wrong. They had underestimated humanity's capacity for innovation and adaptation, and now they were paying the price. Their command structure, once so rigid and unyielding, fractured under the pressure of constant defeats. Orders were given and revoked. Frantic attempts to regroup were met with more losses. The leadership that had once dominated the galaxy was now in shambles, unable to cope with the reality that they were losing to a species they had once deemed primitive. The final desperate act of the alien invaders came in the form of one last assault. With their fleet in disarray and their ground forces on the verge of collapse, the remaining commanders launched a full-scale attack on Earth. It was a last-ditch effort to turn the tide, a final gambit to regain control. But Earth was ready. Human forces, unified and battle-hardened, had anticipated this move. With their new technology and understanding of alien tactics, they repelled the assault with brutal efficiency. The alien ships, battered and broken, fell from the sky. On the ground, the remaining alien troops were hunted down, their defeat inevitable. The last alien commander, a figure who had once commanded the Empire's respect, was killed in the final battle. His death symbolized the complete collapse of the invasion. The Galactic Empire, once feared across the galaxy, had been defeated by the very species they had sought to destroy. In the aftermath of the battle, humanity stood victorious. Celebrations erupted across the globe, but beneath the surface, there was an undercurrent of unease. The Galactic Empire had been brought to its knees, but the galaxy now knew of Earth's unexpected power. Other alien species, once content to ignore humanity, would now take notice. The question lingered: what happens next? Would the remaining alien forces regroup and seek revenge? Or had humanity's display of strength been enough to secure their future? The victory was complete, but the war was far from over. Humanity had proven that it could not only survive but also conquer. But with that power came new responsibilities, new threats, and the certainty that this was only the beginning. The war was over, but its scars were everywhere. Earth, though victorious, lay battered in the aftermath. The cities that once bustled with life were reduced to ruins. Skyscrapers had crumbled under the relentless bombardment, and the landscapes that had been untouched by human conflict for decades now bore the marks of alien weaponry. The immediate aftermath was a paradox. People were both celebrating their survival and mourning the immense losses. Relief mixed with grief as humanity counted the cost of its triumph. Yet, amidst the devastation, the seeds of recovery began to take root. Nations that had once stood divided now found themselves united in a common cause. The war had shown humanity the cost of division, and the price they had almost paid for it. Governments and militaries worked together in ways never before seen, pooling resources and knowledge to rebuild faster than ever thought possible. The integration of alien technology, once so foreign and terrifying, was now critical to the recovery effort. Engineers who had spent months reverse engineering alien weapons now turned their attention to using this technology for the benefit of humanity. Power grids were rebuilt using advanced energy systems scavenged from downed alien ships, and medical advancements made possible by alien tech revolutionized how the wounded were treated. Cities began to rise from the ashes. New structures, infused with alien materials and designed with enhanced durability, started replacing the ones that had fallen. This was not just a rebuilding, it was a transformation. Earth was no longer isolated from the greater galaxy. The invasion had shown humanity that they were not alone, and that their survival depended on more than just what they could do on their own planet. They had to prepare for the future, for the possibility that another invasion could come. And this time, they would not be caught unprepared. As Earth rebuilt, the news of the Galactic Empire's defeat spread far and wide. Word traveled quickly through the Galactic network, carried by traitors, rogue factions, and those who had observed the war from afar. The shockwaves were felt on every planet under the Empire's former control, and beyond. Civilizations that had long feared the Empire suddenly found hope in the fact that they could be defeated. But with that hope came fear of the unknown. Humanity, once seen as primitive and irrelevant, was now a wild card. They had defeated the most powerful force in the galaxy, something no other species had even dared to attempt. The galaxy was now faced with a terrifying new reality. If humans could take down the Galactic Empire, what else were they capable of? Some alien civilizations, particularly those that had been oppressed by the Empire, viewed humans as potential allies, powerful beings who might help them reclaim their freedom. But others saw humanity as a threat, a new force that could potentially replace the Empire as the galaxy's next great conquerors. The fear was not unfounded. Humanity had been transformed by the war, not just technologically, but psychologically. Earth's leaders, having seen firsthand the fragility of peace, began to take steps to ensure they would never again be caught off guard. A global defense network was established, uniting the militaries of every nation under a single command structure. For the first time, Earth operated as one. Borders became irrelevant in the face of a greater threat. The days of internal conflict were put on hold as the planet prepared for whatever might come next. This new unity extended beyond defense. Humanity's technological capabilities had advanced more in a few months than they had in the previous century. With access to alien technology, Earth was no longer constrained by its own limitations. Space exploration, once the dream of only the most ambitious nations, became a global priority. New ships were built using a fusion of human and alien technology, capable of exploring the far reaches of the galaxy. Humanity, once content to simply survive, now looked to expand. The invasion had sparked a new age of exploration, not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. Humans needed to know what else was out there, what other threats they might face, and how they could prevent another attack. But Earth's newfound strength did not go unnoticed. Across the galaxy, new alliances were formed in response to the rise of humanity. Some sought to align themselves with Earth, believing that cooperation was the only way to secure their own survival. Others, however, prepared for war. The remnants of the Galactic Empire, though shattered, were still dangerous. Rogue factions that had once served under the Empire's rule now saw humanity as their greatest enemy. They knew Earth's capabilities, and they would not allow another power to rise unchecked. Quietly, in the dark corners of the galaxy, plans were being made. Revenge was inevitable. Humanity, though victorious, was not naive. Earth's leaders were fully aware that the defeat of the Empire was just the beginning. They knew that the galaxy was vast, full of civilizations that had watched the war from a distance. Some would seek peace, but others would come with violence. The war had proven that humans were a force to be reckoned with, but it had also made them a target. As Earth's global defense network expanded, so did its intelligence operations. Spies and scouts were sent to every corner of the galaxy, gathering information on potential threats. The next time an attack came, humanity would not be the ones caught by surprise. Despite the looming shadow of future conflicts, there was a sense of pride that swept across the planet. Humanity had not only survived but had thrived in the face of overwhelming odds. The Galactic Empire, the most powerful force the galaxy had ever known, had been brought to its knees by a species they had deemed insignificant. This was not just a victory for Earth, it was a statement to the entire galaxy. Humans were no longer passive inhabitants of a backwater planet. They were now players in a much larger game, and they were ready for whatever came next. As the celebrations continued, a quiet tension settled over the planet. Humanity had proven their resilience, their ingenuity, and their strength. But the war had also opened their eyes to the vastness of the galaxy, and the dangers that lay beyond. The future was uncertain, and while Earth was safe for now, it was clear that peace would not last forever. There were still battles to be fought, enemies to be faced, and challenges to overcome. Humanity's rise to prominence had only just begun, but it was clear to everyone, both on Earth and across the galaxy, that they were a force to be reckoned with. The future was theirs to shape, but with that power came the responsibility to protect it. And as the galaxy watched with bated breath, one thing was certain: the humans would be ready.